Okay, good evening, and welcome to the Hanson Select Board meeting of August 5th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded by Whitman Hanson Community Access Television. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Heel, will you do the honors, please?
Yes, very short tonight. We're looking for citizens at large to become members of the following committees: the Bylaw Committee, the Cable and Internet Committee, the Camp Kiwanee Commission, the Historical Commission, the Capital Improvement Committee, Energy Committee, the Recreation Committee, and the Memorial Day and Patriotic Observance Committee. Volunteer applications may be found at the town website, www.hanson-mass.gov, or by calling the Select Board's office at 781-293-2131. And the upcoming Select Board meetings are August 19th and August 26th, and August 19th is also a Wage and Personnel meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was short but sweet. We're going to take an item out of order. We've got item number 5 to discuss vote to approve a block party on Brook Bend Road, August 31st, 2025 at 2 p.m. Applicant Alicia, and I am sorry in advance for this one, that's what I was going to say. Okay, Zukowskis invited to attend. So, Alicia, our understanding is that in general, most of the neighborhood has agreed that they would like to have the block party, but there's one neighbor that does not want to have her driveway blocked, and your plan is to have it on the end of the street that this individual lives on.
Yes,
okay.
She lives in like the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
That we would have it on.
Yeah. So how will that work?
So we just will block it off. We wanted to block off the road just for the safety of the kids. But if she has an issue with it, then we're fine with either leaving one side open or leaving it completely open so she can have access to leave.
Have you had an opportunity to communicate directly with her about, you know, what you might be able to do to address her concerns?
So I initially put a notice in the mailboxes of like the houses that it would affect, saying like, if you have any concerns with this, please reach out. And all I heard back was positive things from other neighbors. I didn't hear anything from her. And then I got a call from your office saying that she had an issue with it. So that was the first I heard of it. And then I put a letter in her mailbox saying like, please call me. And she never reached out.
Okay, all right.
So I haven't had any communication with her directly.
It's a little tricky, you know, it's a public road, but this is you guys individually deciding to have this, like, it's not like the town's hosting the event or anything. And we want to try to be responsive to her concerns, that she be able to leave her house whenever she wants to during the course of when you're having that party. It says starts at 2 p.m. What time does it end?
We didn't really set an end time.
Okay, all right, okay. Could go all night type of thing? Not really, but just,
I
you know.
wouldn't imagine it would go all night, but maybe once it starts getting dark, I'd
Yeah.
say.
Okay. All right, so, did the board have anything that they wanted to?
No, sounds fun. Sounds like you got
Sounds
everything
like a
already
fun
squared
time.
away.
Yeah.
So what is our...
So I think you're committing to us, because I just want to get this, our involvement is we don't want the police having to come to settle a neighborhood dispute that could be worked out in advance. That's our role, really, quite honestly, and it's a public way. We want to make sure that there is absolutely clear communication with the individual who is within her rights to say she doesn't want her driveway to be blocked. We want to make sure that you guys are directly communicating with her. We will not block your driveway. We will leave either the whole street open or, you know, one way open so that you're able to get out. Can we count on you to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I'll get a response, but I'll put something in her mailbox letting her know that that's our plan.
Okay, she did when our office spoke to her, she did ask, if we could, give her the minutes of our last meeting, but frankly, those wouldn't have even been applicable, because we were like, nobody's here to talk about it, we're not gonna, we're not going to even talk about it. Sorry, spam
Maybe
constantly.
the minutes of this meeting
Yeah,
would be
probably this
helpful
meeting.
for her to have,
Yeah.
Public record anyways.
Um,
Did the police know? I saw that the fire knows. Is there a?
have you spoken to
Do
the
they know?
police department? Great question.
I haven't spoken to them. I sent that email to you guys, and then I believe someone sent it to the police and fire. I heard back from the fire department, but I think that the select board, the woman who called me about this, the neighbor who's concerned, she said that the police and fire did not have an issue with it. But I haven't gotten like anything in writing. saying
Okay,
that
so it was probably Colleen in our office who's no longer with us. I mean, she's on Earth, she's just no longer with us. You may want to directly reach out to the police, and, you know, and just put them on notice, and, you know, don't call the 911, just call the general number. And, you know, just let them know that, you know, and give them a heads up that you've worked out an, you know, an agreeable response to the concerns that were raised, and that you're not anticipating any problem, but you just wanted to give them a heads up.
Okay.
Okay? All right, did anybody have anything else? Ms. Green, anything? Okay. All right, well, thank you. Sounds like a blast. I know they used to have block parties years ago, because my daughter has a couple friends that live on that road, and people loved it. It was a great little, little tradition every year to do that. So, sounds fun, and we will have to live vicariously through you.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks for, reaching out and trying to, keep the peace and all that, and, yeah, and let us know if, once you reach out, I would very strongly suggest put it in writing. We hear your concerns, we are gonna keep the street open for you, fire and police have been made aware, and if there's any problem after that, let our office know, okay?
You might even want to call them day of, just to give them a heads up.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case. It
Just
says
to-
discuss and vote. Are we voting on anything?
There's really nothing, do we need to take a vote, Ms. Green?
Is there any like formal
Miss
application or just
Peterson.
informing us?
It's just an,
I mean, if you wanna make it, official, where she's maybe looking for minutes.
all right,
you may
I will
wanna take a vote just
entertain
to allow
a
the block
motion
party.
to approve the block party contingent upon, I'm gonna do it, Ms. Zukowskis, reaching out directly to the individual who lives in the neighborhood, and telling them what they're going to be doing to be responsive to her concerns.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Have fun.
Mr. DeFrias, that takes us to discuss the housing plan, housing production plan. And I just want to start off by saying, this is not a hearing, it's just a presentation. This has already been presented at the planning board. Under Chapter 40B regulations, towns are required to have a production plan. And I think a lot of people are thinking that this is like, again, I think people are conflating with MBTA community. This is a little bit different. Under 40B regulations, municipalities are encouraged to proactively plan, so like we're in the driver's seat, trying to design what we want to happen in our town. And that's exactly what this plan helps do. When Hanson adopts and earns state approval for its housing production plan, we get leverage over future developmental proposals, particularly those submitted under Chapter 40B. So if, right now, we're at like 5% affordable housing in town, and until such time, if we ever get to 10%, which is what the level that the state sets for affordable housing, we basically are gonna get our lunch handed to us every time somebody wants to come in and put a 40B. in, unless we have a housing production plan and we modestly increase affordable housing, again, organically. We're not like going out inviting people to build affordable housing. We're not doing anything really on that front. But if people come and they want to do 40B and it increases our number a little bit, we could qualify only if we have a housing production plan for a safe harbor status, which allows us to deny 40Bs. If we don't have a housing production plan, we don't have a leg to stand on. I know, Tony, did you want to lay up like how this was developed and what the purpose is, and again, if you wanted to introduce the consultant?
Yeah, so, Tony Fry is town planner. So, before I came here, Hanson had a housing production plan. It has a shelf life, and so it was expiring in 2024. So, I approached the CPC and requested funding to prepare a new housing production plan, which the CPC has funds for that. We went out and we looked for a consultant. Karen Sunneberg is our consultant, and she's in process of preparing the housing production plan to submit to the state for approval. This has gone before the planning board. We've had public hearings on it. The planning board closed their public hearing. They were good with the way that the draft that Karen has prepared. As part of the process, this has to go before the select board also for their approval. So I'll turn it over to Karen. We have a quick PowerPoint that explain a lot of things and answer questions, and then she can answer any of your questions.
Okay, great.
Great. Well, thanks to begin with for including us on your agenda. And basically the plan, I'm going to try to go through the highlights of the plan as expeditiously as I can.
I did want to mention, we want to give proper attention to this, but we also have many other items to get through tonight.
Correct, I understand,
So,
and appreciate
yeah,
that.
if you can hit the highlights, that would be great.
I'm going
Yep.
to not do a lot of detail underlying it, but anyway, I want to also leave some opportunity for questions and comments at the end. As well as anybody here, just generally, who's here to hear about the plan? Excellent, excellent. Okay, we did do some outreach to the community to try to get folks here so we can present. So the housing plan that was prepared in 2019, we're basically updating that. And we also embracing the housing issues that were included in your master plan. As Tony mentioned, talking about a 5-year duration of plan. So what is affordable housing? Just give you some background. Some of these slides are kind of basic affordable housing 101. Then we go on and talk a little bit about demographic, economic, and housing trends, and then we get to the actual package of strategies that we are proposing to have included in the plan. So the hot definition is, if you're spending more than 30% of your income on housing, whether it's for ownership or rental, you're considered to be in unaffordable housing. The definition that we usually use is that which is prescribed under Chapter 40B, the Comprehensive Permit Law, which says in order for a unit to count towards that 10% affordable housing goal that you mentioned, or towards housing production goals, it has to be subsidized either directly by some public resource, or it has to be approved through a subsidizing agency, such as like 40B. In order for the developer to go to the zoning board of appeals, it has to go to one of the state or quasi-state agencies to get the go-ahead. It has to be deed restricted, and we're talking about mostly in perpetuity unless there are particular circumstances that would suggest it needs to be shorter. They have to be affirmatively marketed. So those who actually live outside the community have some notice of the unit's availability and some ability to apply. However, in a lot of these projects, 70% of the units are reserved for those who live or work in the community.
Is that the highest percentage you can?
That's the highest. And then, it has to be targeted to households who are earning at or below 80% of area median income. We're talking about the greater Boston area. It even goes up to parts of New Hampshire and down into the coastal communities, a wide breadth. It's $117,250 for a household of three. It's gone up somewhat to $119,100. We're talking about working households here. And the last report I saw was that there were 3,922 year-round units included in that subsidized housing inventory, the units that meet all these requirements, and at 4.79%. The town did submit an additional 10 units as part of Cushing Trails, and that will bring it up to 198 units and 5.05%. And then there are additional 14 units as part of Liberty Woods, which will bring it up to 5.4%. So we're making progress here. And just to give some background on housing production requirements, basically housing production was meant to help communities get some greater local control over housing. It requires if the town produces 1% of its housing units, and that's the equivalent of 20 units now, it gets what's called certified, and you refer to the safe harbor, which means that the town can deny a potential 40B application that doesn't meet its particular terms and conditions it considers inappropriate. So in addition to getting to that 10%, as you mentioned, we've got the option of safe harbor or certification under this housing production.
And can we just pump the brakes for 1 second there?
Yeah.
So with Cushing and Liberty Woods, how many units is that altogether?
Total 24.
So right now, with those two going online, we could be eligible for safe harbor?
No, it has to be, Karen can correct me, one particular project has to create that amount. So,
Well, not necessarily. The thing is that this plan is, your other plan is expired. This plan has not been approved. You have to have an approved plan in place in order to get benefit of certification.
Okay, so let's wave a magic wand and say that we've gotten this approved with those two groups of
Together.
units together.
Together, if you
Would that-
submit documentation on both of those units, because it's more than 20 units, that would have qualified.
Will it, if we put it in now, will we be able to?
Well, 10 should already be included, because you've documented that. But the additional 14, have you turned those in yet?
no, because they haven't, they're under construction. So in other words, they haven't met the qualifications
Okay.
because of timing.
So if you turn those in and you come up with another 6 units, then you could qualify for safe harbor.
Okay. All right, thank you, I'm sorry.
No,
I
wanted
wanted to ask while it
those are
was.
good questions.
Okay,
And that's per year, so it's.
Per year, and then
So you have to do
it's
this
by
the
column, yeah,
following year.
by year. Okay. Yeah, you would get safe harbor, and you turn in documentation for a year, you would get the safe harbor. If it's 1%, then you get 2 years safe harbor.
okay, thank
So
you.
this is just to give you some idea of demographic and economic trends. The town is still growing. Just looking at between 2010 and 2022, there was a 4% growth, which is lower than the statewide growth, but the town continues to grow. The projections from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council suggest continued growth, while the University of Massachusetts Donahue Institute suggests some decline. Not probably a surprise, losing younger residents and gaining older ones. Those under 20 decreased by 21% between 2010 and 2022, while those 65 years and older increased by 68%. Not a surprise again, I mean, the baby boomers are really driving these demographic changes. Declines proportionally in families, once again, not a complete surprise, given the baby boomers and more households living by alone. Rising incomes, median of $116,536, that's just based on American Communities, all this data is pretty much based on American Community Survey census estimates, but significant increase from 2010. And just a comparison, the 116.5 is considerably higher than the county at $103,000 and the state at $94,000. So 56% of households earn more than $100,000, while 7.4% earned less than $25,000, clearly struggling financially, most likely. The average weekly wage of those who actually have jobs in Hanson was $53,400, which is less than half of the median household income of residents in town, likely pointing to the fact that a lot of people who have jobs in town can't afford to live in town. And 1,114 residents, or 10.5% of all residents, claim some type of disability, suggesting some need for barrier-free units and supportive services. It's likely that this will grow somewhat because of the aging of the baby boomers.
Excuse me, I do want to remind you, we do have, like, you know, I'd like to try to get to the meat and potatoes of it, quite frankly. I have no
Okay.
doubt that you've done all of your analysis of statistics and trends and all of that, and you know, that it's you know, foundationally sound. But if you can just hit the high points, and then if we could hit the meat and
Okay.
potatoes, that would be great.
Okay. Just on housing growth, just continue steady residential growth. Housing costs now, we're talking a median single-family house of about $600,000. We're talking about apartments, about $3,000 for a two-bedroom apartment. And as housing demand continues to outstrip supply, it's driving up prices. We kind of organized priority needs, focusing on rentals, given a number of considerations. When it comes down to housing strategies, we've included a capacity building strategies. Those will help bolster the town's ability to be proactive and promote housing, affordable housing. And, you know, I should mention that we, in addition to just affordable housing, we've also referenced the need for attainable housing for those who might be earning above that 80% of area median income, but are still well priced out of the housing market. So where there's opportunities to have income tiers, that makes some sense. So conducting ongoing community outreach and education to help provide opportunities for people to be informed of what's being proposed with respect to housing actions, as well as opportunities for input. Another is to establish an affordable housing. You want to go to the capacity building, the first one? Yeah. Establish an affordable housing trust fund. This is would be a dedicated municipal fund that is, you know, we explain how it can be. It's relatively easy to do with a warrant article. And many towns have these trusts, and besides the opportunity to manage a dedicated fund for housing, also the opportunity of having a municipal agency that oversees housing issues and the housing agenda. And we also include promoting a regional collaboration to obtain professional housing services in support of implementing this housing plan. We give two models of kind of regional approaches. One being something that's used in Metro West area and the North Suburban area of Boston, where a number of towns come together. There's one lead administrative town, and they hire a regional housing services office that provides a menu of services that towns can then buy into to help monitor their, housing units, to help support new development and zoning changes, et cetera, which has been quite effective. Another model that's been used in the area west of Boston through the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Council is a regional housing coordinator. So they have a number of towns have supported this regional housing professional for certain services, and the housing consultant coordinator goes around and provides those services, and that's worked out so far pretty well for towns that don't have a particular staff person who oversees housing. And I should mention just the Housing Authority is a very important entity in this town, but it is more of an arm of the state than it is a municipal entity. In zoning strategies, always challenging to get approvals for zoning because it can be complicated. However, the Housing Choice Initiative legislation that passed a number of years ago moved from a supermajority to only a simple majority vote for those bylaws that support housing production. So it's a little easier. It's nevertheless still challenging, but a little easier. We did include in the housing plan the compliance with MBTA community guidelines under Section 3A. Zoning Act, we describe the basic requirements, and that has been part of this plan. And the planning board did okay that after clearly the reservations that the town has been having about that. Also, we have promoting the use of the local initiative program, which is also referred to as the Friendly 40B program, which means that the developer and the town have to agree on the basic terms and conditions of any development before the developer can actually submit a comprehensive permit application to the ZBA. It'd have to also go through the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, but nevertheless, it's putting the town, as you mentioned earlier, in the driver's seat instead of just reacting, and particularly for those projects that have, really meet pressing local needs and preferences. We suggest adopting an inclusionary zoning, which means that a certain percentage of units have to be affordable and eligible for inclusion in that subsidized housing inventory over a certain number of units, a project over a certain number of units. A lot of communities, it's 6 units. It's important, though, that any exclusionary zoning bylaw includes some financial incentives, as well as a formula that will still ensure that the project will be feasible, financially feasible. And explore a starter home district under Chapter 40Y. One of the needs, priority needs that we have documented is starter housing. When the median house is now $600,000, how do young families actually find the opportunities to purchase? This relatively new state legislation provides some financial incentives and some requirements that are meant to address that particular niche on affordability. I should mention that what we also try to echo throughout the draft is that, there are some challenges the town has, and including infrastructure constraints. So understand that, you know, some of these production strategies, cognizant that the infrastructure obstacles are considerable and have to be addressed in the proposal. Housing production direct assistance strategies, make suitable public property available for housing, and this, we include the Thomas School in this. And at this point, the Housing Authority is involved in refinancing that project, but initially, the project referenced 3 potential buildings. They only built one, so there is the potential of doing some additional units on that particular site. There's a Hawks Avenue site too that involves some brownfield remediation, but
You can't put a septic system
It's,
in down there.
it's a deed restriction on that already.
do it.
Can't do it.
It cannot be
And that's
used for
not even on
housing.
our radar. We
No.
wouldn't even think about it, to be honest with you. We've got other plans for that property.
Yeah.
okay. All right, and there are, there's property that we include on Meeting House Lane, as well as there's a couple of other Housing Authority lots that might have some potential for development. This particular, making public property available for housing is one of the requirements that need to be addressed in the housing production plan. Then another piece is to partner with developers of privately owned property. You know, once again, the town, where possible, using that friendly 40B process, where the town and developer agree on the development of the property, the terms and conditions, and there'll be considerable affordability within that development. And we've included some types of developments that might be amenable to the community. And this was in the was either in the master plan or in the last HPP, was to expand tax assistance program benefits. You have state tax abatement and deferral programs, but they are very limited in the benefits as well as eligibility. Some towns have expanded those benefits and eligibility. We give the Sudbury example, but Hanover right now has been working on some options. Something to consider.
We do have our veterans agent looking at increasing the, you know, the amount that veterans can have deducted from their tax bills. But other than that, and we did increase the amount that seniors were getting paid to work off their taxes, because we weren't even paying the minimum, which potentially had some legal concerns. But other than that, we really haven't, you know, explored anything other than for seniors and veterans, which I think is probably where we would kind of stick.
Yeah. I think Hanover's looking a little bit wider, and Sudbury and the concrete programs are a little wider, but it's your policy.
Yeah.
It would be your program, so that's. Next steps is we will finalize the draft based on any comments that we get. We got the planning board approval in July, and, no, not July, earlier, right?
Yeah, certainly.
In January. And then we submit plan to the state. We can need your approvals, and then we submit the plan to the state. The state has up to 90 days to review and approve the plan, but they've been turning around in about a month. They're really kind of much more efficient about it. And any other comments and questions, be great.
Okay. Mr. DeFries, did you want to say anything, or?
Nope, and
Okay. So did anybody on the board want to ask any questions?
My
or-
only concern
Yeah.
is the MBTA
piece being in the plan. I don't want it to look like where the town is going to, definitely be
Entertain that.
working on the, towards the MBTA zoning. That's one of our concerns, that we're trying to figure out where to go on that, but I don't want the plan to say we're definitely going in that direction. I don't.
Yeah, we don't know what direction we're going in. Our plan for the October town meeting, because we've been told by the Attorney General that they will essentially come after us immediately if we do not say that we're putting it on the October town warrant, is to put that on the October town meeting warrant, but also put an article, if you do not want MBTA community, we need to have money to fight it, because we have no funds to fight it right now. And we can't do both. We can't fight it with no money, and so we if people want us to fight it, that, which we would like to do, but we need the funds and the support to do it. So that's our plan for October. So I agree with Ed, like, I don't know that we can really put it in there that we're planning on, that we're bullish about it and that we're trying to pass
Yeah.
it. 'Cause
I don't think the language is, in the plan currently, is that you're bullish about it, but it's basically saying this is what's being required. Also alluding to a lot of grants that you've received that
We're
would
well-
probably be
yes, we know.
reneged.
We're well aware of the
We're not at all
downside.
confused
Yeah,
about
We're
that.
well aware.
But
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak about this right now. I don't want Hanson to turn into Weymouth. If I wanted to live in Weymouth, I would move to Weymouth. I am one of the most ardent opposers of this MBTA overreach,
Got it.
so.
So,
I think if you were to poll the town, you.
You wanna
you
pull
would
the town
hear-
again? We've already done it twice.
You'd hear Ann and I's issues repeated.
Well, I think it's the whole board. We just
Yeah,
sent a
it's the
letter
whole board.
Yeah.
What
to
did
the state
planning board say
representative.
about, what did the planning board say about the MBTA language in the plan? Because it obviously passed through them, so.
There was a concern about having that language, not wanting to, pretty much what Ed's saying.
Yeah,
So
so I
I was
think we
trying to
just,
keep it as basic as, hey, we know it's there, and we know it's the law, but that's about as far as we're gonna go with it.
Well, can you send us exactly what the housing production plan says about MBTA community to see if we can,
I can read it to you right now.
I was afraid you were gonna say that.
well, I mean, do we have to take a vote on approving it
Yeah,
right
we
now
have
in
to
this moment?
approve, it's
Because,
gotta get finished, right?
well,
it's not
that's,
finished,
so my
right.
question is, do we have to approve it right now? Because
That's why
I
I
don't
was-
want to read, I don't wanna have to.
That's why I was
make-
asking if we could get it provided to us. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
you-
tonight.
I
but
thought,
just-
yeah,
You-
you
you
already
did.
did get it.
You did get it.
Yeah.
but You don't have to vote on it tonight.
That specific language, if we could just, somebody could,
Okay.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. If you did not include anything on MBTA in this housing production plan, how the state will take that.
Yeah, so my thought around this is if we don't have to vote on it, because a lot's happened since January, that even with the planning board approving this back in January, if that's the case, things have happened since then, that I am curious if that changes how they would appreciate the wording coming to us prior to us taking a vote on it. So I do think that we have made some decisions as a board and as a town, that they're gonna have to take a second pass at making sure that the language is consistent with what we've been asked to do.
I'll just make a comment from
Oh,
the citizen.
oh,
Oh, sorry.
I just wanna, I'm more than glad to entertain your
Sure.
comment, but I just wanna remind you, I'm chairing the meeting, so, sure, if you can, stand and, state your name and your address.
Sure.
Yep.
Dan McDonough, 27 Carriage Road, and just to support the select board, and from, let's say, a citizen's perspective, this Hanson housing production plan is very much, the town determining how we want to move forward from our own authority to do so. And the 3A, from, the biggest opposition I have, it's the state determining what our town is going to do. So separating that language out would be appreciated, and thanks for the comments.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I did start off by saying that the housing production plan puts us in the driver's seat. So, to the extent that you know, if it was just a like, you know, we acknowledge that there's that regulation out there, but we're not committing one way or the other, that's one thing, but to have it as actually part of our production plan seems to indicate other, you know, something different than what our intention is.
But it seems like the state would prefer us to lie and tell them that what they think we want them, what they want us to say, we will say it back to them.
Well,
They want you to comply.
That's
we
basically.
get that. I feel like I'm in a Star Trek movie and it's the Borg, like resistance is futile, I get it. But I think we can't be the only town that needs a housing production plan and is not bullish about MBTA. So it seems to me as though we could call EOHLC and find out, will you accept a housing production plan that does not swear allegiance to MBTA?
I could do that.
Okay, I think we need to know that,
Okay.
yes. Yes, sir, if you could stand, your name and address, oh, no, please, yeah, stand and just, your
Anthony
name.
Sacco, 557 House
Yep.
Street. I am a contractor, okay, but we don't do houses. I had a call from a big developer and their lawyers. They wanted to build on my property. So there is a spot I do have that's 28 acres, okay? They said they want to put 200 houses in. They're gonna be living in chicken coops. This town isn't a chicken coop type town.
No, I mean, we have chicken coops, but not for people to live in, yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
And you know, the thing about the young people and that they're first time buyers, whatnot, you know, all of you guys, same thing. We had to live in an apartment for a little bit until you got your foot together, you know? And if you, look what's happening to some of the towns around us, Holbrook, Abington, Rockland. See what's happening, gotta open your eyes.
Oh,
We don't want- we don't
Weymouth
want it
is
to be
my-
Well,
corruption.
Yeah.
Weymouth is, I drive
yeah.
up and down Route 53
Yep.
and look at what's happened up there, it's
Yeah.
We
ridiculous.
don't wanna be a problem,
No.
put it that way.
I agree, sir. And I would also build on that and say, the state did pass ADU guidelines. So if somebody really, you know, if somebody's got a family, you know, house, and they want their kids to be able to live, and they can't really jumpstart it on their own, you could apply, and if you, you know, are approved, you could build an accessory dwelling unit in your backyard, and we've had a few people do
And
that.
it's actually not that hard to get the approval either, you just have to meet the requirements, and what,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's a great way to increase affordable housing and affordable units in town.
We
You have
to
28
right now with
acres.
the houses, the elderly building, even more houses. We have
Right.
big houses for the elderly in this town.
Right, right.
And I don't think that anybody's counting that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think, doesn't it count?
Not in, well, the meeting house and all that does, but like, are you referring to like the over 55, is that what you're?
Yeah.
No, because it's not
It's not
affordable.
affordable.
I mean, you know, that's the really weird part about where we're at right now as a town, is that a lot of the condos that are being built are so high-end that they're actually higher priced than than the
The
average
houses.
cost of the houses in town, which is a really weird thing, but it's, you know, it's,
I mean,
yeah,
I work with
yeah.
these developers all the time, they're snakes, believe me. They're in the governor's pocket, and the other thing, maybe the governor will be gone and we won't have to worry about it.
So, getting back to this, thank you. So, would you mind just resending it to us, because a
Yeah.
lot's happened since January. We've had a town meeting in May. We've worked with our state representative around language and trying to work with the state in trying to change things in the way that they're going. And I think it is important that in that 6 to 7 month time frame, that even the planning board should take a fresh look at this through the lens of what they've already kind of approved.
Yeah, and I think that the thing is, look, we're pragmatic. We know that there's pressure. I mean, this gentleman just said somebody approached him to put an obscene number of units on his property. We know that there's pressure from developers. We know that if people own property and they follow the rules, they can build. So we're not trying to, you know, stop people from doing what they are permitted to do on their own land. But you did mention infrastructure, and you need to know, Hanson has no sewer system. We don't have that, okay? And we are on a bunch of bogs and ponds, so it's pretty delicate. If people don't follow the septic regulations, we all pay. because it's gonna be a problem with our drinking water. So we've got that. We have water restrictions every year because, you know, of the amount of water that we draw versus what we've got to pull in. We've got concerns about our schools. We already know, our fire chief just came to us and said he needs 3 or 4 more guys with our current population to make sure that we're properly staffed. So, you know, we've got this natural tension, and I know we're not alone, but we're only here to represent Hanson, not the whole state. So, you know, we've got this tension where, you know, the state is just saying, like, just build anywhere you can and everywhere you can and however you can, with no money and no thought about how this little town is gonna support that kind of growth. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the resources.
Infrastructure is
Yeah.
a big deal, but they did pass the Affordable Homes Act, which can bring in some really significant additional resources for housing and likely for infrastructure. So, you know, it's,
But we don't even, like, just to be real with you,
Yeah.
like, if we're talking about huge numbers of, you know, of affordable housing or, you know, any of that stuff, we don't have a social services network in the town of Hanson. You wanna know who our social services network is? It's our senior center director, okay? That's the only
No, she's
person.
great.
She helps people with fuel
Yeah.
assistance. She helps people with Social Security, with Medicaid, Medicare, one individual. And she had, we
No, she's
managed to scrape by and get her a little part-time person to help her, and God love her,
Yeah.
they get it done,
Yeah.
but it's by the seat of their pants all the time. And I think about this all the time because, you know, we don't have the resources that a Weymouth or a Brockton or a Braintree has. We
Right.
don't have those resources. So it's really irresponsible, in my mind, to have the state pushing for this growth on a little town of 10,500 people without explaining to us where the resources to support that kind of growth are gonna come from.
They don't like to have things demanded of them by the federal government, but they can demand them of us. There's a little problem there, there's a little bit of a hypocrisy there that they need to address.
And I know we're not here to talk about
We're not.
MBTA community, but you did have it in the reference, and, you know,
Absolutely.
so
And
it's.
I know it's been a big issue, and, so we will send you the current, once again, the whole draft and the particular language, and I will contact, HLC and ask about, the person who actually reviews these, documents and ask about the.
I'm sure they've got a
compliance.
checklist, like it must contain these things, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah.
So if,
And
we
it
just
meets
need
a
to
lot of
know.
requirements.
Yeah,
This is a little different, though. It's
Yeah.
not, you know, it's, and I know it's ticklish, to say the least.
yes.
I hate to ask what the repercussions are. Say they say you have to have this MBTA piece in there and then we say, okay, no, we're not doing it. The repercussions on the other side are they're gonna come
Well,
at us.
yeah, I mean, you make a good point, but I think if they come back and say it needs to be in there, then I think we need to figure out how we talk about it.
Yeah.
And whether we're not gonna make any kind of a commitment about it.
Right.
Because we do need to have a housing production plan, because if we don't, then we definitely are gonna get our lunch handed to us.
But
And
we need to have it approved by the state, so it comes back to what I was saying, is that they're basically saying, you've gotta produce a housing plan the way we want you to produce the housing plan. If you don't, we're not gonna approve it, and we're gonna mess with you.
Well, they have
Anything
numerous
more.
requirements that they won't
Yeah.
approve unless certain things are
Right, that's what I
addressed.
mean, so they're
But
basically not giving you
I'll
word for word.
I'll get down to the specifics and be able to get back to you guys.
But
through
we aren't a
Tony.
Brockton, we're not a Rockton.
no, but you know
we're
what,
not a Weymouth.
Ed, I absolutely have to believe we are not the first community to ask
No.
this
No, we're
question.
not.
We can't be. Yes, if you could just, and,
Karen Buckley, 541 High Street.
Yep.
I have a question about funding for the lawsuit. Are there no pro bono attorneys stepping up to the plate?
we already engaged, we had a conversation with somebody who did pro bono. It was like an amicus brief that they filed for us, but no, there's nobody who's gonna go in and fight for us, a pro bono. There is not, we're not aware of anybody. Nobody has stepped forward, and we did talk to that one gentleman, I don't even, and he never really circled back and talked to us, but he said, you know, what's the effect, da-da-da, we'll include Hanson and what we're filing with the court, and that was the case that was heard before the,
Bills and all that stuff.
yeah, so, yeah.
On that. So my other question too, when we talk about housing, we always call it housing, it's really just apartments. And I don't understand why they don't call it, it's just apartments, no,
Good point.
why isn't it called apartments? This, I moved from Quincy to here, I grew up in Whitman as young, at 17 I moved into Quincy.
Why, are you saying they're just apartments? I don't understand.
Well, we're just built, all these places are rentals.
Well, so for MBT, so multifamily MBTA, yes, I agree with you. Affordable housing, no, like when she's talking about like starter units and things, that those could be,
40 wides,
40 wide
yeah.
could be, like, I had somebody who had explored whether we might be able to do 40 wide for veterans.
Right, that's what I was gonna ask.
yeah.
Will you expand, will the 40 Ys cover affordable housing? Will it cover all that stuff to bring us up to 10%? Because I'd rather see Campanelli developments for
Yeah.
starter homes.
Yep.
Yes.
Than
Exactly.
the high-rise apartments.
Yep.
because
That's
like
exactly-
Quincy,
I would
my
love
husband
that.
left South Boston, that was
Yeah.
just wall now. You go down Summer Street, it is just, there's no triple deckers anymore. And I can't imagine that people are raising their families for 30 years in an apartment and really contributing a lot towards taxes for this town. Also, in some of Europe, they apply a tax to renters to go to the town for use of services. I mean, that's
I'm not
something-
sure, I mean,
That's
intriguing,
not-
intriguing,
My friend grew up
I
in
don't know if
London.
it's
My friend grew
legal,
up in London.
yeah.
That was one thing that they
Yeah.
had, was a tax on renters to services to help when you're moving all these people in. And then, yes, there's property tax, but the individual taxes, you know, when you have 6 people, you know, raising a family of 4 kids and you're not paying taxes based on that, you're renting, you know, to help our services with schools, that would be something to look into.
I'm not sure we could do it for schools.
But I'm just saying the tax,
yeah,
to come
yeah.
to the services, a town service fee,
We can ask, yeah.
you know.
That whole
just-
infrastructure isn't here, though, as you say, it's in Europe, but I don't know of
That's a
anybody
tax.
doing
It's
that
just a
here.
tax
Yeah,
that they apply to renters that you
Right.
pay towards the town or the city that you live in.
right.
That help for services for police and firemen and all that stuff, that would help a lot. But all these apartments, the one in Abington going on by the T station, that is just a giant wall of apartments on Summer Street. That is so sad. My aunt lived on Summer Street, grew up going, riding our bikes to there. That's so sad to see what the town's.
I can't
doing.
stand driving on Route 18,
I
it's
know.
just insane.
18 is horrendous, but even like I said, every day I take the commuter rail in and just go by that wall in Abington, and there's hardly any parking, so are they gonna take over the MBTA parking for the commuters? There's hardly any parking.
Well, that's the other thing, quite honestly, I think about this a lot. I think about, okay, let's say, you know, inevitably apartments are built here. You're gonna dump a bunch of people who potentially don't even have cars in the middle of Hanson. We all know, like, you need a car to be in Hanson. Shaw's is not around the corner. We don't have public transportation. We don't have any way for people to get around. Until a couple years ago, we didn't even have Uber and Lyft around Hanson, you know? And I don't think people maybe that are in Boston thinking of this stuff, that are living in a more urban environment, can really appreciate, you know, like, granted, we're not like Western Mass, like, we're not that rural, but we've got like a rural character to us, and I do think, like, how fair is that to the families that might, or people that might end up living, like, what are they gonna have to do? Go do Instacart for their groceries all the time, or like call taxis all the time if they don't have a car? Yeah,
What attracted my husband and I from the city, my husband, I guess I grew up in Southie in a project, G Street projects, bust all through the city. But to come down to Hanson, what attracted him was the town. I mean, he fell in love with the house, he fell in love with the yard, he never had a yard, even in Quincy we had a postage stamp. But that's what we fell in love with, was to come back, for me to come back after living in the city for over 30 years, to come back here. And to see it change so rapidly, it was bad enough that what Quincy did. I mean, it took me 20 minutes to get out of my driveway.
yeah.
You know, that was awful. Now to see what they took Quincy Hospital down, it is just, my family still lives there, it's just wall, it's horrible. And I really would hope that Hanson, maybe with the 40 Ys, could meet some of the things to have, attract families, attract young people to come here.
So, Mr. DeFrayis, what was the holdup of us doing 40 Ys? Is it just a matter of the developer finding the right property
Yeah.
the owner that wanted to sell said property?
No, we looked at the 40Y, and it's just land area.
Land area, so how big of a land area do you need to make us
yeah.
compliant? How big of a land area would we need?
Well, you're talking the full 10%?
I don't know, I'm asking.
No, it's just,
What's the smallest 40Y?
Like, what's the smallest 40Y we could have?
are you talking about a zone, are you talking about a lot, are you talking about, it's a whole.
So you'd have to do a zoning change for that
Yeah,
piece of
it becomes- It
property,
becomes an overlay district.
an overlay district, okay.
So 40, you can do single families with a 40B as well. I did comprehensive permits, I designed comprehensive permits, they were single families. They were on 5,000 square foot lots.
Right,
I stuck one project.
well, we've got
had-
whole neighborhoods full of them in town already,
Yeah.
they exist.
Yeah.
One project was 68 houses, all single.
On
family.
how much land is what I'm asking, like, that's,
The entire site was, probably about 50 acres, and we were able to use about 40 of it, because 10 of it was wetland.
So, I
It
struggle with.
depends, I'm sorry, it depends
No,
on,
go ahead.
depends on how you design it, how
Right.
you make it look.
right.
You know, because from the exterior, they all look the same, they all have to look the same.
Well, I know, they're cookie
they-
stamp houses, and, yeah, but
They were,
they're,
they were 5,000 square foot lots, and every one of them sold.
yep,
I agree with
absolutely.
the Campanelli, it's a
Yeah,
great little
I
starter house.
think it's great.
You know, and you can build it and, you know,
So it's just saying, but all I'm saying is that, like under a 40B or a 40Y, you can do single families. It just depends on what the developer wants to do. Whether they wanna do, you know, like you see like Cushing Trails, that's townhouses, or duplexes really.
Duplexes, yeah.
Yeah.
But if, and I'm just completely hypothetical,
Go for
if
it.
someone had 28 acres, 50 acres, whatever, and they wanted to allow that kind of development, the town would have to change the zoning there,
Well, they could come in under a 40B and do it.
okay?
So they could come in under a 40B.
And do the 5,000 square foot lots?
Yeah, you could get 8 units per acre. So if you had 20 acres, you'd get 160 units. Now, will you actually be able to fit 160 units on the 20 acres? It all depends on the site.
Depends on what the
Site constraints.
conditions are and all that stuff,
Exactly.
yeah. Well, this is just, I don't know what it takes to make these things happen.
Like Liberty Woods is a 40B, but it's an over 55, it's an age-restricted 40B.
Okay.
So it's for folks that are over 55 specifically.
That is supposed to be a little bit more affordable than Stonebridge, right?
Right, it just depends on, you
Yeah.
know, you're seeing market rates going for $600,000, but you might see affordables going for like 200 or 300,000.
Right.
So some towns have done these little pocket neighborhoods, like a little
Yes.
kind of bungalow cottage style.
There's one of
around,
those in Weymouth, near the hospital. There's
well,
one there,
they're-
that's a cute
they're
little
all
thing,
over.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah,
all over,
yeah.
like the Cape and
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard and, you know, in the Metro West area. But, you know, you can have those, you know, numbers of those around a little clustered around a green space. And,
So you're
they
saying
are
it doesn't
great
have to be 160 all, but
no,
you could do little,
you can have 8, you can have 10, you
Yep.
can have 6, you can have, you know, if you get the property and you can do a 40B and, you know, and the houses are small, so they're great for starter houses and for downsizing.
I did another one that it was this cul-de-sac, and it all depends, but the thing that I discussed is, and it was brought up here, was the local initiative partnership, or LIP program, where the town and the developer become, in essence, partners. So you can find, so other communities have done it. For instance, like Easton, the town of Easton really used the LIP program to partner with developers that they chose, that they knew were good developers and put up good product, and they reached their 10% real quick.
so that's what I was gonna ask you, is like, how do we get more in the driver's seat? How
The
do
lip-
we get more,
The
so,
LIP program,
Okay.
which is qualified as a friendly 40B, so they give some, we give some, but they still have to get approval from the state. And so, like I said, a lot of the ones I did were LIPs. One was on a cul-de-sac, all single-family homes, again, small lots, but that particular developer was no fences, no greenhouses, no sheds, it was just, he wanted to keep a specific character. Trees, the houses, didn't want it to look like a barracks, because there was another one that he saw, where it was small lots, people came in, they all put up fences, and it just looked like a military barrack, because all you saw was fences, houses, it was just a mess. So the LIP allows you a lot of control because you're partnering, let's say, with a developer. And if you can research developers and know, well, that company, look at what they did, they do a lot of good projects.
So do you put out an RFP, or like what, how does that work
No, the
exactly?
developer would approach the town.
Okay.
And say, hey, so we have to look at the LIP program, because I think we have to approve the use of the LIP program, correct?
Yeah, the select board has to basically join hands with the developer and submit a comprehensive permit application, or the site, an application to the state.
Site eligibility.
Because I feel like right now, we're just waiting, like, who's gonna come at us? And what are they gonna try to do, and what are we not gonna be able to prevent them from doing? I hate to put it that bluntly, but that's kind of what it feels like right now.
For instance, the two that are going up right now, if those were LIPs, you might have said, well, he wants to do 40 units. Hey, well, how about 32? And if you do 32, we'll give you something. We're willing to work with you on this, but you're going to give us 32 because we think it's too much, even though he might be entitled to get 32 based on the.
And I'd like green space, some walking, like thoughtfully planned, not just, all
Right.
crammed into one.
That's what the LIP allows.
That's second, yeah.
There's basically is two types of 40B, the LIP, which is the friendly one, and what we always would call the other one. It's we come into town and shove it down your throat one.
Yeah.
How do we make an error, how do we make it so that happens and that the negative one doesn't happen?
That's
If
what
we
I'm-
zone
That's what we're
it
trying to do.
40
We're talking about
wide,
that right now.
but how do you do that, I guess is the.
The second strategy under the production strategies deals with this whole issue of really cooperating with private developers on LIP, and being clear that the kinds of developments that you're interested in. Developers' time is money. When they can kind of get an agreement early with the town, it's to their benefit. The other thing is to potentially put out housing guidelines. These are the projects that we're interested in.
I was gonna ask you that, okay.
This is the density, these are the locations. I've worked with numbers of towns on these guidelines, but that kind of puts out your preferences. Hey, developer, if you can find some property and you're gonna do a development in these, lines, we wanna work with you.
I feel like we should we have a joint meeting with the plan? Because I just wanna, I don't wanna step on anybody's feet, but I just wanna make sure that we're all.
Well, the thing is, the planning board is not the approving authority for 40Bs. That's the zoning board of appeals.
Okay.
Okay?
Which we appoint.
Right, and the other thing with these projects is, let's say you do a LIP, not every house is gonna be an affordable house. It's still the 25% of the project will be the affordables.
So how would a developer know that we're interested in a LIP? Like, how would they?
Well, we would create a LIP, you'd.
So we have to create a LIP?
You'd let them know that, yeah, hey, we're interested, but here's the program.
So we have a LIP, and how do we make it so the developer doesn't plow in and do what they wanna do? How do we make sure
Well, that's the LIP.
that we have
Well,
the partnership?
if they know that that's what you're willing to do, then you'll find good partners. Dottie Fulgenetti, who's with Mass Development.
I know Dottie, yeah.
Okay, and she also is a select board member in East.
You know Dottie.
yeah, I know Dottie, yeah.
I had thought about asking her maybe to come at some point, because she's very knowledgeable regarding housing and what they went through and how they did it, which may be beneficial if the select board or the planning board or the zoning board is willing to listen because of the process, and how it gets done. The LIP program is just the easiest way to get, you give something, they get something.
So who designs, the planning board designs the LIP, or is it like a combo?
No, the planning board.
ZBA?
ZBA.
Okay.
So the town says, hey, we're willing to enter into an agreement with a developer. A developer comes into town and says, I wanna put in a 40B. I have 20 acres. And I can do it this way, but and he comes to the town, and the town says, well, look, we're willing to work with you and if you do a LIP with us, and, you give us a little bit, and you get a little bit, and we all
Okay.
have a project that we like,
And if we have a LIP, then we're saying, like, here's the parameters.
Yeah.
Don't be applying to us for all kinds of variances, like, this is what we're looking for. Like, we're not gonna make all kinds of exceptions for you, like, we're telling you what we want.
Right, yeah, because
Okay.
the two projects that are in town were not LIPs, they were pretty much just, here we're coming in and we're doing it, you know.
Yeah.
The plan also has a description in the appendices of the LIFT program requirements and regulations.
Okay, all right. So we need to
No.
circle back with the ZBA and have a conversation with them, because I
Yes.
think we
We know some
agree.
people on
Yeah, we might
ZBA.
know somebody on
And-
ZBA,
and
maybe
I-
not,
and I-
yeah.
And I know it's probably a lot of reading, but I would recommend that you read the housing production plan, because it's probably a lot of
I did read
information.
it, but it was back in January, so it's been a
Okay.
while, so, yeah.
So,
Um,
you know, so I mean, you can start to achieve, to get to your 10% real quick if you start working with these developers. And you might get infrastructure as well. So for instance, if it comes in and you find, well, that water line's insufficient, well, fix up, you know, replace the water line, upgrade the water line, fix the
Right.
road, you know,
I'd love, fix the road, put some sidewalks in.
That's right.
like-
sidewalks, yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah,
You know, I think the plan does not talk about huge numbers
Yep.
either. We're talking about, you know,
Incremental.
goals
Yep.
of like, you know, we're not, it's not ambitious as far as
I'm sorry, Kit,
numbers.
I've got some, folks, you both had your hands up, so sure. If you can just stand up and, give your name and address?
Hi, I'm Judy, I live on Pleasant Street. I am an architectural designer by trade, I'm sort of trying to retire, but, I have a question for this gentleman, Mr. DeVries.
To Fry's.
The difference between, like a planned unit development, like a PUD,
Mhm.
and what you were talking about with the green spaces in a community, is that all, can that be 40B too?
They're actually two separate types of developments.
Okay.
So the planned unit development, which is known as a PUD,
Yeah.
that's a special permit through the zoning board, but that doesn't have an affordable component to it,
That's terrible.
where the 40B does have the affordable component to it.
And, sir, yeah, if you don't mind, standing
Yeah,
up.
my first name is Paul, I also live on Pleasant Street. It is my understanding that 10% of the housing is hopefully going to be affordable? Am I correct on that?
The state
Of the total.
yes, the state wants every town to have 10% affordable housing. That's the goal for from the state.
Has anyone ever bothered to define what they mean by affordable housing?
Yes, this woman just started our presentation. I think you may have come just a little bit late, but yes, yeah, yes.
It has to meet a number of requirements
Yeah.
in order for it to be
Yeah.
included, towards that 10%.
Well, what is the price point? How much are the houses gonna go for?
We don't know.
It's based on a formula. It's,
Yeah.
the state has, you know, if it's a 40B, or it's gonna be affordable, they have, basic formula for rentals and for ownership on what the costs are. You know, based on your own property taxes, based on if there's a condo fee, based on, a number of assumptions, they come up with a formula.
But is it affordable?
It has to be affordable to households earning at or below 80% of area median income. Often it's targeted 70% of area median income, the prices, because they want a marketing window. If you did the prices at 80%, there wouldn't be a marketing window. So, yeah, it's all pretty prescriptive.
Where in the 351 cities and towns of the Commonwealth is any place that's 80% of AMI affordable?
That's a state problem. I mean, yeah.
Ludlow,
Well, okay. I don't, yeah.
Affordable housing doesn't mean you can actually afford it, it's just a
That's right.
formula.
That's
Well,
right.
isn't that the goal?
No, I know, but that's what you're getting at, so I think it's a term, I mean, a lot of people can't afford affordable housing.
Yeah.
Does anyone in Hanson have any figures of what percentage of the homeowners are spending 30% of their income for housing and basic utilities? What percentage is spending 40% of their income for housing and basic utilities? What percentage are spending 50%, 60%, 70%?
We get
You
it.
got it. Thank you.
Yep.
We have information in the plan on that, based on spending more than 30% and more than 50%
But
for
that's it.
owners and for renters, and overall.
But that's it? Just 30 and 50?
Yes, that's it.
Wouldn't that be something that we would want to try to find out?
It gives you a good range.
I think that's why we're trying to push back. I mean, everybody here recognizes that housing is a crisis, and we're trying to find the best way to do that, because no one spends 30% of their check anymore on that. Now, if renting is worth more than people's mortgages now, if you're lucky enough to even find a place to live.
Yep.
Which is impossible. In addition to that, if you don't give, most people I know, their entire paycheck goes towards that, and their second part-time job pays their basics, and they have nothing to put in their savings account. So it's well understood that that's the case, that we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, and I would say, just one, I will get to you, ma'am, I would say, you know, when I think about affordable housing, there are towns that have made a point of targeting veterans, teachers, police. You know, when you think about it, it sounds crazy to say that these people sometimes cannot afford to live in the same town that they're working in, and that's the truth. And in Hanson, it's certainly the case. I know a number of teachers and police officers and firefighters who have not been able to buy in the same town that they're living in. They're working on it, but they're not able to do it now. So I know sometimes people conflate, you know, and I think you had said your husband had grown up in projects. I think a lot of times people think, you know, we're talking about putting projects in Hanson. We're not talking about projects in Hanson. We're talking about people that are making a pretty decent living.
Yes.
But they can't break in, to your point, because this market is so crazy. They can't break into the housing market. And so it's a, you know, way to sort of help. You're not gonna ever even the playing field, because, you know, it's bigger than us. It's the economy, it's national, it's international. But for our little corner of the world to find a way that, you know, people, either elderly people can stay in the town, because that's a huge problem.
Yes, it is.
A lot of people really can't afford to stay in the house that they've lived in their whole life, but they know that if they sell that house, where the heck are they gonna go? There's nowhere that they can afford to go. And in Hanson, I don't think we're unique, but I know we have a very high percentage of multi-generational households, where we've got grandparents, their children, and the grandchildren all living together, just because financially, that's what they need to do, because that younger generation can't afford to buy, and the older generation doesn't want to sell the house because, you know, they've got a 2 or 3% interest rate, and God knows what they'd get now. So, you know, it's a complicated problem, and, you know, I'm not pretending that, like, we've got some unique solution, you know, here in Hanson that we can solve it, but we can maybe in bits and pieces, like the you know, 40Y, you know, it's some reasonable, and I would like to say controlled growth, you know, controlled growth, that we're a bit more in the driver's seat on. It makes me very anxious to think about, you know, people coming in who don't know this town, who don't appreciate the town, who don't understand the town, just coming in and doing whatever they want. People moved here for a reason. You know, I moved here because it reminded me of the place that I grew up in. It's got a rural character, you know, and, you know, it wasn't, every square inch wasn't built, you know, up. We'd like to try to keep it that way, but again, we're competing against the pressures of the developers who want to make money, and, you know, they're gonna do whatever they need to do to build. So, anyway, sorry to go on that little tear, but yeah.
And just to make a point, I know it's been in the Globe a lot lately, that people that even attain their affordable housing and they can pay the rent, can't pay the utilities. They can't afford the utilities. Which brings me to a huge point of being sustainable and having alternative energy. And I don't know how much Hanson is into that at all, if there's even a green Hanson, or people that are working on that.
Oh, yeah, there's a green Hanson.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're aware, but we had the community aggregation plan, and one of the options that not only will you get lock in a rate that's generally lower than what you could get on your own, although some people might be like warriors getting way lower rates, constantly battling, but one of the options, if you feel so inclined, is you can opt into the green. You pay a little bit more, but it's all, you know, it's a greener electrical supplier.
Yeah,
So.
that's for another conversation. for me.
Yeah.
I would think that it would help the affordable housing situation if they were solar homes, or they were, alternative energy of some sort. And the people could actually afford to live there.
Some of the models that we've included, have, LEED, compliance and solar panels too. Talking about those little pocket neighborhoods, this example we
Yeah.
had of that, so it's all
Yes.
doable.
I'm kind of new to town, so I.
Oh, yeah,
maybe if
no, I appreciate the feedback. Just got somebody back here, and then we'll,
What is the 10% figure based on? The population of the town, or what is the 10% threshold? What is that based on?
10% of the year-round housing stock, number of units, 10%.
Not in the town,
In the town.
In the town.
in the top.
so how many houses do we have in this town?
3,900 and something households,
Those are
3,000,
year- Yeah.
yeah.
Can I interject too? I wanted to, that particular developer that called me, right? I told him just get lost, but he said that he was almost in the governor's pocket, he's on their council.
Oh, boy.
Why are they putting contractors on the governor's council?
Because they're making
And then
money.
the other things, there was other things that I heard a talk show guy saying that, like Dover, Weston, Wellesley, they had a pile of towns that aren't doing what we do. We could take, the people who don't want it in their towns could probably do a class action about.
We
Well,
did
why-
join, and again, we're conflating MBTA with this, but we were part of a class action suit, and that went down in flames. We did it for unfunded, that it was an unfunded mandate, and we did not win. And we joined with Marshfield and a couple of,
Yeah.
there were probably like 5 or 6 other towns. Yeah, but there are some bills, before, in the state, that Representative Sweezy has submitted. There's been hearings on them. We submitted a letter telling why we have got issues with the MBTA, for Hanson. So we're not giving up the ship. But it's becoming diminishing numbers of towns that, a lot of towns have adopted it, or are planning on adopting it, just, they're not gonna fight it anymore, so the numbers are diminishing.
Yeah,
Pardon?
no.
Milton finally adopted.
Yeah, yeah, so, and I think you had your hand up, sir. And then, if you don't mind, we're gonna wrap it up, because we do have a bunch of other stuff to get to tonight, but,
Will there be other times that this conversation will occur? I mean, we just found out about this a couple of hours ago.
yeah.
6 p.m. is a tough hour to make on
Well,
time.
yeah, we're here, trust me, we're volunteers, we're here at 6 PM on Tuesdays, every other week, so I hear you, but, yes, as we're talking, I'm feeling as though, we need to have a broader community conversation about the reality of what is happening around us, about the pressures from the state, how we're going to address them as a town, and what we want this town to look like. And we have to be reality-based, because we're not in a bubble. We can't stop, we can't live in Little House on the Prairie for the rest of our lives. I'd like to, personally, it was one of my favorite shows growing up. But we can't do that for the rest of our lives. But we can, again, control more of what's happening here and be in the driver's seat. And I do think that the way to do that is to try to get a cross-section of people that, are gonna open up a dialogue, talk about, the reality of what's happening, what can we do, what can't we do, and all of that. So, yeah, I don't know how that happens, but I think we've got some to-dos from these guys. They'll circle back, and we probably need to have some other group, like either the ZBA planning and the select board together talking about, what's happening, with the housing authority, I don't know. But there needs to be it seems like we're kind of rudderless right now. We don't have anybody saying like, okay, we all acknowledge we need some more affordable housing in town, something needs to be done. But how much and where and how that happens, you know, I think we need to have a broader conversation.
We have one thing on our side, septic systems.
That is on our side.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
We're not we don't have sewage.
Yes, I know that. And it's funny because years ago, people were really pressing, for, town sewer, and I had somebody say to me, that would be the craziest thing you guys could ever do. And once he pointed it out, and I was like, well, that's true, that would, because then you'd have a lot of the wetlands concerns, and, you know, a lot of the perking and all the things that we've got that kind of keep a little bit of things at bay. Yeah, that would be off the table, so you got a good point there. Yep, and then we are gonna put, I'm sorry, what?
It would seem to me the
Oh.
logical people to be the convener of some sort of informal or formal discussions would be your board.
Right.
And what?
One topic at a time, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
We
I mean-
covered about 10.
Yeah, we're all over the place,
we
too
are.
many topics, but I've heard a lot of people, I won't name names, you know who they are just as well as I know who they are.
Probably.
I've heard a lot of people say, if we build more housing, it will drive down the cost of housing. Where on the planet would that ever happen? That will, if you build more housing, you will have more overpriced housing. Everybody knows that.
That's probably our local economist, you know, I'm joking. But, yeah, there's,
The only way to build affordable housing is to make it affordable and skip this area median income baloney.
all right, we
It is
gotta,
baloney. Thank you.
I hear you. Mr. Weeks, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanna say, I think, you know, the next step, because we are here to talk about the housing plan, was that, I think, review it, move forward with that, but what's being highlighted to me are the 40s with the alphabet after that. I think we
Yes.
have to have more of an understanding, because I do agree that, I think there are a lot of assumptions that the 40 whatever means something, and in reality, it's an overlay. And I think that we have to have more conversations to inform people, so that way some of these things don't look so scary, but at the same time, again, we need to be in the driver's seat of some of this stuff, because if we're making assumptions about just use 40B, just because we've been talking about that for the last 45 minutes, we're talking about 40B. If you think it's this thing over here, but in reality, it's this much larger thing over here, so we box ourselves out of designating a space for it, or appointing people to the zoning board, which has the ultimate say over it. And by denying that, we're removing a tool that we could possibly
Yes,
have
yeah.
inadvertently, because we don't have a full informal and robust understanding of what it actually is. And we could be biting our nose off to spite our face. And I think we do that an awful lot, because we just kind of spend 5 minutes on a presentation, but spend 45 minutes talking about, we could have just gone through your presentation and just got all these answers already, because it was thorough and you had all these things. So I think what we need to do is spend time, you know, because we're gonna be talking about the zoning board later on the agenda. Putting people on here, scheduling hearings, spending more time talking, getting in the weeds about what these things actually are, and how to define them, and how we can utilize them as a tool and as a decision-making body to make informed decisions, so that we actually can have the town that we all say we want, and we can just go in there and make these decisions more informed, so.
Yeah, I must say,
Thank
there's
you.
a lot of detail in the
There is,
plan
yeah.
on all, you know,
Right.
40B and all these issues.
And this housing production plan isn't new.
Exactly.
This housing production plan,
I know.
you know,
Yeah, I know.
is before my
Yep.
time, so.
There's a
it's
lot
just
of
that.
competing
It just-
things.
Thank you for coming,
It just, it
thank
has,
you.
you know, it has a shelf life,
Yeah.
and so we're updating.
The thing that I want to acknowledge is, in our effort to make it so that we are informing everybody, we're breezing through some stuff and we're only talking about things topically. We really just need to dedicate the time and just say, we're gonna talk about these things. Show up if you're interested, so that we can all be informed and move on. So we're not feeling like we are without a rudder, because we're just talking right now. And I think we need to sit down. I think you have a ton of experience with this. I think, Tony, you the same thing. No, the same thing with Tony. Like, we have the resources here. Let's just
Yeah,
list it out and dedicate the time.
It's just a matter of, 40B already exists, that's one avenue that developers have. MBTA is a completely different animal.
Yeah, but I
that
think-
Is coming down the, you know.
Even with the 40B though, people associate 40B with apartment building complexes. That is not what they are.
No, they're not.
And
Some
I
of them,
think-
some of them are, some of them aren't.
No, but that's my
Correct.
point, like,
Yeah.
so and all of those ideas, all of those, assumptions are valid. So it's not to say that they're not valid, but we really have to dedicate some time to be like, this is what it actually is, and these are 3 examples of what it could be, even though you think it might be this.
That was, and I'm just gonna, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say, I'll wrap it up. When I was on this side of the table presenting 40Bs and we had attorneys involved, I always told them, you need to explain to the crowd, because we'd always have a big crowd.
Yeah.
That you need to explain to a crowd what a 40B is, because most people immediately thought of it as, subsidized housing
Yeah.
Right.
and
Naturally, rightfully so.
what used to be called Section 8 housing.
Right.
And that's not what it is. The people that buy affordable housing, whether it's a condo, whether it's a house, whatever it is, they have to work for a living and pay a mortgage just
Right.
like anyone else. The only difference is they get a discount, they get it for a cheaper price than the market rate.
Right,
That's
which
all.
is still not necessarily affordable. So the idea is,
And the more,
For some people,
right,
yeah.
right,
Right.
and the more regulation, and on, from this
Yes.
side, and the more regulation you put on to build that house, what happens, like anything else, it gets passed on to the consumer.
right,
So the more regulation you have for like, it has to be solar, it has to do this, it has to do that, so now it costs a lot more money to build that house, and what's the guy gonna do? He passes it along, so the affordable becomes exactly more and more expensive.
So-
And we're not gonna solve all the problems tonight.
So
I appreciate
you
that.
guys will get back to us with those things, and then I think as a board, we need to talk about, we're gonna need somebody to drive this, somebody to take the initiative to drive this, and talk about, how that happens, because, it's a huge initiative. And it's gonna take somebody being committed to it, to start the conversations with all the various stakeholders. And we can have that conversation, if you have some thoughts on how we might do that, how you've seen other towns do it, we can have that conversation.
What is the deadline for this?
Well, we're already out of.
No, with the housing production plan, again, let's be clear, housing production plan has nothing to do with MBTA.
No, I
No,
mean,
no.
that's what he meant, he
How-
meant for the housing production
That's
plan,
what I
what's
mean.
the
Housing
deadline?
production
Yeah,
plan. Well,
I'm not talking
right now it's expired, I mean, there's no real deadline.
There's no
per se.
deadline, but as the time goes on and on, the information gets staler and staler.
Right.
But say
and,
say we waited 2 years, I mean, like, that's what I was saying about not doing it at all, if we're already out of it, what's the?
It's good
No,
to
no,
plan,
it-
it's good to have a plan.
No, but also,
But not a
Ed,
plan that the state makes us make, you
no,
know what I mean?
Ed, there's pitfalls for the unwary in not
Yeah.
having a plan. If we do not have a plan in place, then we cannot say to a developer, you're not complying with our plan, because we don't have a plan. So I really would urge you to reconsider thinking,
The other thing
that.
is a housing production plan, if one project comes in and creates 18 affordable units, you have safe harbor for a
20.
year.
yes,
You have to what?
safe harbor,
So you
which
have
means
safe harbor, which means you
Yeah.
can tell any of the project after that, no.
Yep,
Yeah,
For a year.
Right.
If it's double that number, then it's 2
Right.
years.
yeah.
but I'm just thinking, I can't ever picture us doing that many, I hate
It's-
to be negative, but I just don't see us
It's
yearly
similar.
building that more.
It's similar in
that
theory
number
though,
of
to
affordable
like
houses.
not having anybody on the zoning board. You'd think that because you don't have a board, that things would stop. The opposite happens. It opens the floodgates to
Exactly,
everything. So
exactly.
that
But
we
I
have to
just,
have stuff written down.
I just don't wanna come back to the state with what the state is asking us to do.
Well, let's have that, they've got research to do, they're gonna come back to us and tell us
Okay.
what we're able to do, and then we'll
Okay, so we
proceed.
have,
Yeah.
that's my question, do we have
Yeah.
time to do the process that you're talking
Yes.
about?
Well, we're giving
Or-
ourselves
or-
time.
Or
Yeah.
were they hoping that we were gonna sign it today?
No,
We
No.
were
no,
hoping.
we're granting ourselves permission to look into that and then make a decision.
Okay,
Okay.
All right,
All right, thank you
Okay,
so
Thank you for
much.
all your effort. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
thank you
No
so
problem.
much.
All right,
Okay.
all right, and then that brings us to, thank you very much, thank you for attending. And that brings us to 0 West Washington Street, Mr. DeFrias.
Okay, so 0 West Washington Street. This is gonna be short and
Second
sweet.
item on our agenda.
Well, but we've got another one.
Okay, so 0 West Washington Street is a town-owned piece of property near the water department. So we received the grant. So we received the grant.
And Mr. DeFrias, I do want to make sure that you're super clear from the beginning that it is not our intention to do anything with housing on this property.
Correct.
Okay,
This is,
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
I knew it, but I just wanted
yeah.
to make sure everybody knew.
so, if we can get this to work. Give me 1 second, we're having a little technical difficulty here.
Hold for processing.
Do you want to just shoot from the hip on it, or?
Okay, yeah, well, I think we're gonna have to do that. So, 0 West Washington Street was filed under a grant by the One Stop. We received the grant 2023 for $98,826. And we were looking at site development. That property is located in a commercial industrial zone. So, I filed for the grant in February 2023. We received approval in September 2023. In January 2024, Mass Development, who was the funding organization, signed a contract with VHB Engineering. There was what they call their in-house consultants, which are basically a firm that have been, let's say, vetted with the state. So they were hired to be the engineering consultants for the project. So in May of 2024, we signed a technical assistance agreement and we began work in June. So what they were doing is they were gonna look at the property, they were gonna look at the resource areas on the property, AKA the wetlands, they were gonna do a survey of the property, and they were gonna do an existing conditions plan. They went out there, they established the wetlands, they did all that work, they provided us with some sketches as to what could fit on that property. Best case scenario, 25,000 square foot building, parking and drainage, septic, etc. We also filed what's called an ANRAD, an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, with the Conservation Commission to ask them to verify and establish the wetland line, which they did and they approved. Right now, they gave us what's known as a Order of Resource Area Delineation, or ORAD for short. That's being recorded at the Registry of Deeds, so I'll have, once that gets recorded, it'll come back to me. So, it brings us to the end of this grant. We're done. We've done all the work. So, what I'm gonna give to the board tonight is 3-ring binder, all the paperwork in it. You now have a valid piece of property to market and do what you wish to do with, whether it's to sell it for one-shot deal, lease the land under it, but it's ready for market. So
That's
that
amazing.
it's answered all the questions that a developer would ask, and that includes, almost forgot, that includes soil analysis. So they went out there, they dug test pits, so we know what the soils are, we know where the water table is, and so it's all done. So if you put it out there and a developer comes in and says, what's the soils like? There's a soils report. Where's the wetland? Here it is. Has it been approved?
Yeah.
Yes.
So a developer that comes in and says, I want to build a 25,000 square foot building with this, they don't really need to do any of this again.
Exactly.
correct? We know.
That's why this was done. So the Economic Development Committee was like, what properties do we own? What could we possibly do with any of the properties? And Tony, nobody really even recognized for years. I never had ever heard anybody talk about 0 Washington Street. And so, West Washington, and then Mr. DeFreitas was like, well, yeah, we own it. And somebody happened to say to me, that was a developer, I gotta be honest with you, Laura, I go and I bid on town properties because you guys sell it for the lowest price around because you don't do any of the permitting work before you sell it. And he said a lot of the other towns around you are doing all the permitting work, and then you know what you're buying and you can get more money for the, for the sale. So, Tony had experience in this and said, I think we could get a grant to do that preliminary work. And it makes the property more valuable, just because it's not a crapshoot for people. They don't have to say, oh, I'm not sure,
I'm not sure I'm
is
gonna
that
be able to
Conservation
build."
Commission gonna let me do such and such, is da-da-da-da-da? So now you know what it's, what it's worth, so.
Yeah, so, you know, you have basically something that's ready to go. You know, they gave us all basically a 90-page report, shows where the soil logs, the soil test pits were done, the soils themselves. The perimeter's been surveyed. We did encounter that there's an abutter that's has some encroachment into our property. So we'll eventually let them know that there's some things out there that they need to move. But it's ready to go for the select board to say, let's say whether it's town administrator or whatever.
Yep,
Do something with it.
it is
Now,
huge, yeah.
Under the one-stop program for FY '26, I applied for a grant that would assist us to dispose of the property. So if we were to get that grant, we would be able to, we would get money to hire a consultant or a appraiser, if you will, or whoever, a professional, to take this information now and get it out into the ether to actually dispose of the property in whatever manner the select board or the town wishes to do so. Again, whether you want to lease, whether you want, and there's been interest in this property. Some of the businesses, I'm like, I'd rather see a business that goes in there with a 25,000 square foot building and either is one industry that employs provides local jobs, or whether it's, the building is subdivided into multiple, condoed out, as they say, with more than one business in it, or, someone even threw out the idea, hey, there's a need around this area for an ice skating rink, and, because there's one in Bridgewater, and it's like, okay, well, there's a potential business, and, but there's a lot of potential out there, so it's ready to go now.
Yeah. So next step would be for us to get somebody to make some recommendations for us to take a look at, and then we decide if we want to lease it or sell it, or, Oh my God, I feel like this is like so ceremonial.
You mentioned a couple grants along this conversation. One was the grant to create this, which if and when we sell the land, we have to pay that grant back 100%?
We do have to pay the grant back, so we're gonna be looking for a higher amount than the grant amount, obviously.
Yeah.
And then if we do the second grant that you're talking about to market it and that piece, that has to be paid back also?
I do not believe that one is paid back.
Oh, okay.
This one is.
I get, if it was, I was gonna suggest that maybe we don't need to go that way if we're planning on selling it anyway, and we're gonna have to reimburse anyway, but
I mean,
if it doesn't have to be reimbursed.
Well, and I think we're gonna wanna talk to the water department and say, hey, guys, get that piece of property next to you. We're looking at maybe doing something, and we know you've got some money, do you have any interest in that,
Read the fine print, because that's the one thing they don't want you to really be doing is municipal stuff. So they want you to move it on as far as economic development.
We definitely have to have a conversation and let them know that we're going to be doing something, or we intend to do. I'm not saying that we would give it to the water, because that would not work out financially for us.
Correct.
But we do need to mention it to folks. Okay, did anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. DeFries, that was amazing, and awesome. And it almost offset the very painful discussion that just preceded it, almost. And that is adorable. Is that from Costa Rica?
I don't know, but it's,
It's awful.
these screen pictures that.
Oh, I thought it was your own personal one, okay.
It's your desktop from Windows,
Yeah.
this gives you the, I have
Alright.
that too.
Yeah, I don't mind beach scenes and stuff, but sometimes,
Well, the monkey's cute,
the
come on.
monkey's
That is
cute,
He's
but,
cute.
probably
We'll try not to read too much into it.
because you just know somebody will.
All right, so next up, and thank you very much, Mr. Jasmine, for your patience, is discuss the Hanson Highway Department building. Did you want to join Mr. DeFrias? Yeah,
Where were you on the night of?
exactly. Where is that spotlight? All right, so this is very exciting that we're even having a conversation about this.
Is this what I already have?
Yes.
Okay, I don't need another.
Awesome.
should have brought it in, it's in my car.
Would you like a copy? Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I should have brought it in.
I don't know if you want Mrs. Rain to.
Yeah,
she was the
Mrs.
chair
Rain,
of
did
the
you want to
highway-
kick it off?
She was the
Just
highway,
Kick it off?
Yeah,
chair of the highway
well-
building committee.
We had the meeting today, and, they went over their plan, which I think is at the back here. Talking about, reusing the, former police station as the administrative building for them, which, and we also talked about getting a box building, is that what you call it? For the youth people and moving it up.
Oh,
So, you know, we're not evicting them,
Yeah.
we're gonna come up with a better solution for them, but I think the whole thing sounds like a really doable
So I have,
plan.
I do have a slideshow. I know
Yeah,
Mr.
he
Weeks
is.
loves a slideshow. This one's gonna be a little longer than usual. I apologize for that.
Sorry, Drew.
But,
It's all good.
so, the Hanson Highway Department site, so, as the board knows, the highway department has a limited space, and we're trying to, limited space, not a lot of money, so we're trying to come up with a solution that's sort of out of the box thinking, sort of reuse, repurpose, and some new construction, but try and do it so that it's as affordable as possible. So, right now, the existing site conditions, we have 6.1 acres that share for the highway site. And so, if you look up on the screen, you have what's the police station, the current administrative building with some garages, the mechanic shop, salt shed, and then a storage shed out in the back. So you have 6.1 acres. Obviously, they share the site with the ball fields and the youth athletics. So currently, the existing building conditions. So the administrative building, constructed circa 1964, 48 by 100, about 4,800 square feet, houses the highway superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the administrative assistant, and has 4 garage bays. So currently, that space is cramped, poorly lit, little area for storage of files, and there's the proximity to the garage itself, so if you have vehicles in there with exhaust, you know, it's not exactly a pleasant place to be during the winter. So here's some interior photos. The one on the left is the office of the administrative assistant, and the one on the right is the office that's shared by Mr. Jasmine along with Mr. Graham. And just beyond that door, you see is a lounge area for the employees. This is the garage area, so on the left-hand side, this is directly outside the lounge area. And on the right-hand side is just outside the offices where they just barely fit the loader when they can get it in there. The second building is the garage shop. This was constructed circa 1938, has about 2,268 square feet, single-story metal building. It has 3 bays, 1 hydraulic vehicle lift. Had floor drains, but those were filled in because of preventing contamination. So if you look on the left-hand side, you can see the cramped quarters. That dump truck just barely fits in there. On the right-hand side is just a different view of the building. Again, this is the garage and shop, so on the left is just inside the garage doors. That's area that you see is for the mechanic's office and the bathroom. And on the right-hand side is the back side of the building, which is basically a giant supply area. So that part of the building can't even be used other than to what it is for supplies. Third building is the salt shed, constructed circa 1983. Obviously houses salt. It's 40 by 96. Not in the best of shape, with the walls currently starting to bow in some seriously bow in some areas, specifically around the side and the back. And one of the last buildings is the storage shelter, which is 35 by 60. They had a single story, they were housing equipment in there, it's like plows and utility trailers. It's a steel building, which is in really poor condition, and housing a raven.
Oh,
So, so on the left is a picture of the interior, on the right side is a picture of the back side of it. As you can see, it's missing panels. Again, this is a picture on the left. That is where the steel beam connects to the ground. You can see daylight through it. It's completely rotted out. And the, oops, sorry. And, oops, jumping ahead. And the one on the right, again, is another steel beam that's pretty well rotted out. So the Fulham Police Station, constructed circa 1970, it's 40 by 60, single story. The building is currently occupied by the Hanson Youth Sports and has storage equipment beneath it because this, the back of that building actually has drive-under garages. So this is the interior on the left. You can see there's 3 offices, restroom. On the right-hand side is the common area. Again, on the left, a picture of the offices. On the right-hand side is the space. So if, on the other side of that glass where it says Rivals, if you were to come in through the front door, you'd come into the foyer, and then you have this partition with glass. So you have an area there that was office. So what we're considering and examining is a reuse of the police station. We'd like to take that building back and use it for highway for administration. So Rich came up with a general layout of the space as it is now. So you can see there for offices on the left-hand side, common space in the middle, a space out front near the foyer, here for the administrative assistants and conference room, and his office. You know, this could be used, you know, as an emergency center for storms and so forth. The building is ADA compliant. It has AC, has heat, so it's ready to
are
go.
the systems in decent condition, or?
They're in working condition. They're in decent condition. The building, I like to say, the building needs some screen doors and paint, and you could probably move in there and have the administrative aspect of the highway in that building, along with a sign, utilizing the sign out front.
This is in the existing location, the building will
Correct.
not move. Okay.
Correct. So, out back, where the garage and shop are, we would look at putting in a Morton building. Approximately 40 by 40, 40 by 40 area here, and then this main building would be about 130 by 60. So it would create approximately 9,400 square feet of space, which would allow for the trucks that, the $250,000 trucks that are right now sitting outside to the weather, to come into the building. They could be repaired, they could be stored there, additional equipment could be stored there. It'd make life a lot easier.
And is that gonna give us a little wiggle room for growth if, you know, we need to buy more equipment, or?
Depending on how many doors we can fit on that, yes, we'll have a few more bays where you can house more equipment. As of right now, let's see, it's just a very rough elementary sketch here, but you got 7 bay doors, so we could fit all 5 of our CDL trucks, our loader, and have 1 spot left over.
Okay.
And so,
So that with the machine, all the big machinery you have today could fit in there with 1 left over. So everything will, there won't be anything outside as there is today.
Essentially, no.
and so that building would look something similar to what you see here.
Except the trucks would fit in.
Right, I mean, obviously, the one on the right's a fire. The one on the left is probably more of a better idea of what a building would look like. The salt shed, current salt shed would be removed. A new salt shed would be go in its place, 50 by 80. But it would be oriented differently because that other building that you saw with all the corrosion, that would also come down.
That's being
Right, so you'd have the new construction of a new garage shop, and then the new construction of a salt shed, which would go in a north-south direction versus its east-west direction right now.
And is that the building that had the supports in it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the salt shed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this is the look of the new salt shed?
A general idea.
Roughly,
Okay.
yeah.
And have
it's-
do we know anybody else that's using this in our general area? I've just never seen
Um,
one like that.
Everybody is going to these.
They're
uh,
very common now.
If,
Okay.
they're easily interchangeable.
Now I'll probably see them everywhere, now that I'm,
So, yeah, if,
yeah.
if a
They're not
piece
all
of the
that
canvas
big.
rips, you can replace it, you just pull another one over.
Yeah.
It's stainless steel, won't rust because of the salt.
Yeah.
Just because I have experience there, I know Stoughton's got one incredibly large, Easton just put one in. So I am pulling, I think Halifax was thinking about putting one of these in. You know, I don't wanna give away
Yeah.
their plans, but, a lot of people are going to these, they're easier and a little more
Makes
manageable.
sense, yeah.
So now, I mean, we spoke about, obviously, there is an occupant in that old police station at the moment, and we don't want people to think that we're throwing them out on the street. So what we were considering was, just as we did with the senior center, going modular. So, right now, there's basically 3 offices that they use within the building. This would be a modular, single-wide, 3 offices with bathroom space. A modular, similar to what you're seeing on screen, would be roughly 134, 400 to 141, 120. And that would go on the same, that would go on that site.
On the site near the
Correct.
existing police station?
Correct. So it wouldn't be, we wouldn't be moving them, you know, to High Street or some other place in town. They'd stay, they'd remain on site, and they would just get connected to the septic system.
What is this size of this building compared to how much space they're using in the existing police station? How does that compare?
I think it's pretty comparable, because that's 56 feet long by 12, and each one of those rooms is probably, what, 12 by 10?
Yeah, at most.
Okay.
So this is a rendering sketch of what it would look like. So the whole idea is police station, that modular building I was talking about, we could put, say, in this area here or here, and so they could stay on site, or we'll still overlook. The new 40 by 40, the garage, the salt shed. So as far as the salt shed's concerned, it's a one-way entrance in, come around, load up, they can head back out and go on their way. This building would be renovated, some paint and so forth, and the area of office space here that would now go away could be repurposed for something else, whether it's storage or space for employees, so like when they're out there during, let's say, snowstorms.
There's currently equipment in there, right? On half of it?
Yeah, so there's
And the lower
equipment
half?
here, and there's garage here, and there's some garage space here. So they're confined right now into that little space. So that could be reused either as, again, as storage or for the employees. This building has a locker room, which has showers, which, you know, if we, let's say, phase it, that could maybe come back online
Mhm.
and could be used by the employees, you know, especially.
It's
during-
not online right now.
Correct,
Okay.
you know. So,
And the new building would be closer to the fields.
the modular,
The modular building
yeah,
would be
yeah,
closer
that,
to the
yeah,
fields.
Do,
exactly.
do we wanna mention the veterans agent having space?
Well, it was the IT director.
Oh, the IT director,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's funny, I was
wrong
gonna
thing,
ask
wrong-
about the
yeah.
IT director.
So there's enough space in that building for the IT director to have his own dedicated office.
That would be.
In which building?
In the police station.
In the police station, not, okay.
Yeah, so in the police station, so he'd have his own dedicated office. He'd be really close to highway if they ever have any issues.
That's right.
And he's also really close to town hall.
Yeah.
He's central, which is the great thing about this site.
That would be great.
So preliminarily, what we just talked about, hard numbers, I've been able to get an estimate for engineering. We've been able to get some idea of what the steel building would cost. And then we used some numbers we have from other projects and numbers that are based on industry standards. We're in the range of $2.2 to $2.7 million. Now, we're doing this is because we want to see if there's an appetite from the board or the committee to pursue that. We're hoping that if we do move forward and we look at these numbers, maybe about $4 million project to get something better than they have, but not something that other towns are doing that are costing like $10 million. So in conclusion, it's, due to limited fiscal constraints and no current grants available for this type of project, Hanson must provide necessary improvements to this site by thinking outside the box. Relocation of highway personnel to a larger office space of the former police station will improve administrative capabilities and public interaction. Renovation and reuse of the current administrative space would provide highway personnel the possibility of an additional storage or locker room area. Construction of a new garage would allow for vital storage of expensive equipment, which currently sits outside. The new space would also allow for repairs to the equipment. The proposed solutions would vastly improve the site for many years while minimizing cost to taxpayers. And again, this information is presented in this report and was provided to allow Hanson Highway Building Committee to determine if further investigation and cost estimation is warranted. And I'd like to say a special thanks to Rich, Steve, and Charlie Baker, because we've all sort of worked together to try and put our heads together to come up with a solution that, obviously this is the type of project that would have a debt exclusion, but we're trying to solve a problem. It's kind of a Band-Aid, but it could be a long-term Band-Aid versus going full bore, like a brand-new highway building at $10 to $12 million.
No, I really, my hat's off. I think it's very well thought out. It's about a third of the price tag that we were gonna be looking at if the, dare I say it, light control project had moved forward. And not even, that really, as you had pointed out, wasn't an optimal location for a highway department, being precariously positioned on wetlands and over railroad tracks and not in the middle of town, like on the outskirts of town.
This site
Yeah.
is literally central is the center of town, 2 miles from anywhere in town from here, which when you have bad weather, especially snowstorms and you're sanding and salting, time is of the essence. So, so we're coming up to the board and saying, hey, this is what we're coming up with. These are some of the preliminary numbers we're coming up with. If there's an appetite for it and you want us to look more into it, then we can start sharpening the pencil and finalizing the numbers and get a better idea. If all of a sudden we see that due to costs, all of a sudden it's like, we thought we could do like a $4 million project, but in the end this is gonna be like a $12 million project, then we just say, look, it's probably not gonna be worth it, but we could do maybe part of it. Like, I think moving administration into that old police station is probably something we can do for not a lot of money, and it's something that's really necessary,
I agree, and, so one of the things that I, always think about is like, how much debt do we have, and are we able to take it on? So I was just looking up it's been a while, and I will ask Ms. Green if we can get this from Mr. Kincherf, but, the, police station, the final payment is gonna be in 2026 for that, and that was a $5 million, almost nearly $5 million. And then the high school, our final payment is gonna be FY 2028, and then we have some various other little, HVAC, which will be up in 2026, a fire engine that will be up in FY 2025. So if we put all of those together, even if we just put the police station and the HVAC alone, would be about $6 million that we already have we already had debt exclusions for. So to me, I think this is a perfect timing, because we can say, look, this is coming off the rolls, and we're gonna roll it in, and we've got a need that we all acknowledge has been there for years. And, these guys are busting their humps every day, and the least we can do is give them decent working conditions. Not to mention, it's rather unsightly to look at, but,
I have to say that Richard has done a lovely job fixing the place up.
Yeah,
It looks
he
way
has,
better than
yeah.
it did, but
Yeah.
doesn't negate the fact that we need a new building.
yeah.
I mean, one thing I've always said since I've come to town is the highway department is a department that's gonna have to be heavily invested. One, because of the MS4 stormwater regulations that the town has to deal with. And then obviously, we know some of these storms, whether it's the wind or the rain or the snow, they're getting pretty nasty. And so they need a place to have this equipment and do their job. And there's just more coming down the pipe, that this department is at some point is gonna need to grow and be able to do, and to do that, they're gonna need the space to do it, and right now, they just don't have it. Again, if I'm a taxpayer and, wait a minute, we just spent $250,000 or $300,000 on a brand new piece of equipment, and you're telling me it's gonna sit outside?
Yeah, Yeah.
That's huge.
it is huge.
I was gonna
Yeah.
actually ask, if when we're actually asking the townspeople, is there like an idea, an estimate, like a truck that sits outside versus a truck that sits inside? The life expectancy difference, is it an extra 3 or 4 years you get because it's not rusting out and it's better maintained?
I think you can just ask yourself that, if you have a car and you have a garage and you buy a brand new car.
Oh, I know it's a different number, I
Right.
just don't know what the number is.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
drive, like I said, if you drive a brand new car, you buy a brand new car and you garage it every day versus sitting it outside,
Yeah.
you know which one's
I
gonna
mean, as far
age
as the
quicker.
body, it's
Yeah.
twice as long for the most part, so if it's truly twice as long for everything else, it's basically, you need to have them undercover.
And
yeah.
if there's ever an appetite of a future Hanson saying, well, you know what, we wanna put up a new dedicated highway building or whatever, these buildings could still be used, you know, especially the metal building. I mean, that with maintenance, like anything else, could last 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
So again, it's sort of the Band-Aid to make it better than it is, but be cost effective.
Yeah, I think this is so important.
What's the life expectancy of the Band-Aid?
Well-
Are we talking, we're gonna get us through another 20 years, we're gonna get through another 100?
If it's well maintained, probably, yeah.
So we haven't maintained this, I mean, you guys haven't gotten an upgrade in 40 years. I mean, that's really what it comes down
Yep.
to. Every other major department has gotten at least something, within that 40-year time span and whatever we're doing. Debt exclusion is the way to go. We get something coming off the rolls that's a similar price point, which is super smart to be able to kind of roll this in so the average taxpayer doesn't feel it in their pockets anymore so, because it's not like, it's very rare whenever you're trying to develop a budget or a project list that you would just pull something off of a debt exclusion and just let it kind of go. Usually this is when you roll another debt exclusion thing into it, trying to be smart that way. I think the idea is if this is something that is gonna be the best bang for our buck in terms of, is the life expectancy gonna be worth the price point right now? I think that this is a no-brainer to do something like this. So it really just comes down to, because quite frankly, we don't want you guys working in a place any more than we want fire, teachers, police, working in a building that's gonna potentially collapse on them. It's as simple as that. You can't have beams, you can't have boards falling out the back. We're lucky that no one's broken into that thing, considering this entire panel's missing. So I think we, at the very least, given the pictures, given all that stuff, I mean, we do open houses at the fire station, we do, the school is open, the police, you can use their rooms. You wouldn't let a single person go through there and check out those trucks in the very similar way, because I got nephews, and quite frankly, a couple of my kids would love to see the salt trucks just as much as they want to see a fire truck. I wouldn't let them step foot in that building to check that out. And that is the great precursor for, is it time to replace the environment before somebody gets hurt? Because the other big thing is doing outreach. Just like all these other departments, they show off their buildings. If we let people see what it actually looks like leading up into the town meeting when you would be asking them for, especially if you can align it with, you know, the 2026 rolls coming off, that's your marketing right there. Like, just come in, check it out. And if you don't want to step within 4 to 5 feet of the building, you should probably vote yes on trying to, invest in this, because someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, I mean.
We're
just-
lucky it hasn't happened yet.
That's one, the reports you have in front of you have a lot more photographs than I have in the presentation. Just so you see, I mean, just that back building.
Oh, yeah, these are eye-opening.
The
Yeah.
beams are rotted where they connect to the ground,
Yeah,
you know?
it's just a matter of time, is what
If I
it is.
remember correctly, it looks worse as far as the bowing of the wall.
Yes.
I couldn't see it in the pictures as much as I can picture it in
Well,
my
I think
head.
you guys have tried to do what
So
you
the
can,
front
yeah.
Street facing, we
Yeah.
replaced that
Yeah.
entire side and repainted it. It's the back that's blown out as well
Yeah.
as the.
I think-
Is there a picture of that in here? I didn't see the real.
You'll see in the report that I handed you.
In the report here?
No, that one's for.
That's a different, that's what.
The report that I handed you there,
Yeah.
you'll see pictures, more pictures.
Okay.
There's more pictures in that report than I have
Yeah.
here.
No, I flipped through, but I didn't see the bad.
It's
the
a big
real
yes
bad
for me,
part.
so if you want, whatever you need.
Yeah, so I
Let's
will
do it.
entertain a motion to, approve, the highway committee moving forward with the next steps.
Second.
All in favor? All right, amazing. All right, thank you, guys. Amazing. I mean, this is, you know, Joe, we've been talking about this for years. We haven't had any traction, so this is great.
Well, we haven't been presented with like a reasonable
No.
plan.
Yes.
So this is the first,
Yep.
I appreciate you and everybody else that you didn't even list, you know, really doing this. This is
Yeah.
huge.
All right, great, thank you, guys. It's exciting. Okay, then that brings us to discuss vote to appoint applicant Dorothy T. Morocco. Thank you so much, Mr. DeFrias. I will entertain a motion to appoint, Dorothy Morocco as the town appointed tenant board member to the Hanson Housing Authority.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, great. Discuss and vote on request by Calvary wait,
You
what?
still got point 4, but we can come in.
Oh, all right, yeah, we'll circle back, but thank you. All right, discuss, vote remaining annual appointment for ZBA. Ms. Green?
Okay, so there was a little bit of confusion at the last meeting regarding the terms of the zoning board of appeals members. Our office worked with the town clerk, and we have identified the term members, the terms for each member. So we have, Michael Fleming. His term is now a 3-year term, which would expire 6/30/25. Christopher Costello, who's the vice chair, his term is currently, up to June 30th of 26, so he actually is not up for reappointment this year.
Okay.
Kevin Amato Jr., he is up for reappointment this year. His term would expire 6/30/27, because he has done 6 months. And then he's taken over the two-year that was, which one was that one? Was that Kevin's? I'm not sure which one that was, but it was a 2-year, term. And then we have, oh, okay.
Those were their suggestions.
Let's see.
This one, 1, 2,
2,
and
3, okay, so 3, okay. Yeah, it doesn't specify which member, but 6/30/27 for Mr. Amato would bring him to a 3-year term.
I
And
believe he
then-
was, Mr. Buckley's, replacing Mr. Buckley.
Yes, that's correct, yes, you're correct. And then, Mr. Heel, the alternate annual appointment, his appointment right now, would be 9/30/25. So he is a alternate, he's a yearly, so in September, we would need to reappoint him
Okay.
for another year.
All right, then I will entertain to do,
Do we want to make me, oh no, I guess not.
what?
I was gonna say, do we wanna make me now, are we gonna need a vote on me again if we leave it the way it is? We need to vote again in September?
Yeah.
Or do we wanna make them all June?
I mean, you make a good point, I think we could just do it next June, so that we don't forget.
Do you wanna move me to June?
Yeah, why don't we move you to 6:30?
Do you know what I mean? Give me a year
6:30,
and
6/30.
26.
26, does that make sense?
I think that, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to, appoint Michael Fleming for a term to end 6/30/28, Kevin Amato Jr. for a term to end 6/30/27, and Edwin Heel for a term to end 6/30/26. I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, we can put that to bed. Thank goodness, okay. And of course, I've lost my agenda. Which, yeah. In my efficiency, I have lost my agenda. I don't know what the heck I did with
It's,
it.
now you want to discuss vote, Calvary Baptist.
Thank you. So we will discuss the Calvary Baptist Salvation Army to hold their Family Fun Day on Saturday, August 16th. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And,
34.
discuss and vote on request by Hanson Pack 34 to use McQuon parking lot and field area for annual summer family picnic, Monday, August 25th, and/or Saturday, August 30th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on August 25th. I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Amazing. July minutes, I will entertain a motion to approve the July 22nd and July 29th minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And we've got a bunch of liquor licenses. We have a 9/6/25 party, we have a 10/25/25 wedding, 10/31/25, another wedding, 9/13/25 celebration of life, and on our agenda, it is listed as a Jared Peters, but it is a Miss Lenoci, having a baby shower, and then, 10/18/27, Shayna Seal having a wedding. I will entertain, those motions, for approval of a liquor license.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and any wild burning desire to give us any kind of committee updates? Okay, amazing. And then that brings us to the town administrator's report, Ms. Green.
Okay, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. So, the assembly of the, senior center edition is moving along very quickly. The building is actually together, and they're gonna be putting the connectors in to connect the building, the two halves. The inside of the building is coming along very well. They're working on the HVAC system, the flooring, and it's very impressive. I really would like to recognize the water department and thank the water department for digging the trench and connecting the building to the water system. You know, collaboration through the different departments, has really helped bring this project along, and I really want to thank all the departments.
That's great.
A grand opening will be planned, in the very near future, so, stay tuned for more information on that.
Is that
Mr.
something
Hill.
we can see at any point in time?
Yes, you can, yep,
Is
yep.
is it at a point where we could see it, or we?
So
gotta
you
wait
wanna
a
go
few
over with
weeks,
Charlie
or-
Baker, because there's still a trench between, you know, the, seeing the land, and then you have to kind of step over trench, and Charlie Baker has the key.
Okay,
But yes, absolutely.
thank you.
So procurement, we did an invitation for bids for the Hanson infield renovations. This is, being conducted by the Parks and Fields Committee with my oversight and guidance. This is a project that they tried, I believe, a year and a half ago. Unfortunately, all the bids that came in exceeded the budget, so they have, they've decreased, the scope of work a little bit, and now we've, reposted it. We had the bid opening for the Bristol County Agricultural High School, student transportation. We received about 18 bids. Unfortunately, about half of them used the wrong bid sheet. There was an addendum posted, there was an amended, bid, so we needed to reject those. But we, did get the lowest bid, which was it's a 3-year term, and we have approximately 5 students, 3 from Hanson, 2 from Whitman. We're waiting on confirmation, but we did the bid as a per car rather than per student, because we never know if a student's gonna be added or decreased. So it looks like over a 3-year period, it's gonna be about $167,000 over 3 years. So Hanson would pay for 3 students, Whitman would pay for the 2 students.
And up to how many, students are they able to transport?
5.
So 5 is the max they can take?
5 is the max. We'd have to do a new bid with a
Okay,
larger
all right.
car if that were to happen.
Okay.
So we were successful with that, we'll be checking references and then issue the award letter. Union negotiations, I will be in negotiation session tomorrow with the Administrative Professionals Union. That is the final union, that we have yet to come to an agreement with. I will report back to the board, during our next meeting of the results. Amy Walcott started, yesterday. She came in from 9 to noon for some onboarding, some training, getting into computer, her phone. I'll be spending time with Amy to get her up to speed as we have October special town meeting and licensing that's coming up. Her official first day is tomorrow, Wednesday, August 6th. Our administrative assistant, Doreen Theodorson, has tendered her resignation. Friday will be her last day. Very sad to hear that. And the position is posted already, it's on our website. It will be in the Whitman Hanson Express this Thursday, it's also on Indeed. So we are moving quickly, hopefully, to fill that position. I just want to thank Doreen for all her hard work, the time that she's been here. Conservation Department Administrative Assistant position, still active, we're still collecting resumes. We are the resumes that we are receiving do not have, they don't have the skills and experience for the position, so we're gonna keep it open until we find the right person.
Lon said that she was gonna try to support Frank and that others might step up to try to
Yes.
support him
Yes.
until such time as we're able to hire somebody.
Yes. We did send that email out for people that wanted to let us know that they are interested in that. So the treasurer collector's office, settling in with the new staff. Our conservation administrative assistant was promoted to assistant collector, so they're settling in, they're getting into their new groove, and I really wish her the best of luck in her new position. Last week, I spent some time over at the senior center. I really enjoyed the program that Mary Collins coordinates for the benefits of not only the seniors, but for older folks with disabilities. And I'll tell you, the positive energy over there is overwhelming. There was music, there was dancing, there was smiles, there was laughter. You really could just see on everybody's faces how much they enjoyed all the goings-on in the senior center. So I really commend Mary Collins and her staff of volunteers for the wonderful programs that they provide for the aging community here in Hanson, but also in our neighboring towns as well. So definitely a gem in our town. And I'm all done.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. Before we do that, I do want to thank Ms. Tierderson for her dedication and her support during some very trying times. And we thank you, and we wish you the best of luck. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. We will not be returning to open session. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 38, section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. Litigation, 1057 Main Street, MCAD complaint, MBTA collective bargaining discussions, union negotiations, admin, fire, highway, police, and to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, police chief, town administrator. Executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A7, to review and approve executive session minutes not to be released July 22nd, 2025. Executive minutes reviewed by Select Board for 2014 through 2024, not to be released, reviewed by Al Green on 7/20/2025. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session and not to return to open.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much.